So helpful for that. So can we stop sharing our videos to improve bandwidth for everyone? And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Yeah, and welcome back. This is our continuation from part 1, Healthy Relationships Plus program. So my name is Laura Knapp, your host today, representing the Resource Basket program here at WorldCap. So with us again is our guest facilitator, Lindsay Hammer, Adolescent Health Project Coordinator from the state of Alaska, Division of Public Health Sector. So before I go any further, just a friendly reminder, we're currently in live recording mode. So everyone will be given a copy of this presentation within the next 24 hours, along with other support resources. And we'll also take a 5 to 10 minute break sometime around 11 o'clock. But at this time, would anyone like to start us off with like an open prayer or a special blessing to their land?
I can do that. Good morning. My name is Eva. I live and work on the lands of the Dena'ina people. I'm originally from Kotzebue, Alaska. I'm Inuit. And today I asked the Creator to watch over us as we do this work so that we can hear what needs to be heard, say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done. So that when we leave here, we can go back to our communities, excuse me, and provide them with what they need to ensure their safety and their well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, for that warm introduction. Recognizing different prayers and land acknowledgement is such a valuable and important process of reconciliation and building trust and positive relationship with the Indigenous people here in Alaska. Everyone for that interruption. Back to our Healthy Relationships Plus program. So Lindsay yesterday gave us a strong background on mental health and shared teen-adult communication strategies in promoting healthy adolescent relationships. So let's welcome Lindsay Hammer as she gracefully captures the weightless wireless microphone from my hand. All yours.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well and survived any snowfall you guys might have received in your areas, because we got some nice snow last night here in Anchorage, of course, after I shoveled my deck. So we're going to start out today kind of reviewing a little bit about what we talked about yesterday about the program overall, but this will probably be a little bit shorter morning and has to do more with talking about the direct strategies, some of the teaching strategies. The unfortunate part is this is usually the more fun aspect of the training, because it was when I would have you guys really be getting up and moving around and doing the activities that to be able to kind of experience them, that you could be used to facilitate during the different lessons within this curriculum. But in general, you'll get to see some videos of how it's kind of implemented in the classroom setting. And then we'll also go over the main couple communication strategies at the very end of the training. And we'll open it up to discussion as comes. But of course, if you have a question, feel free to either put it in the chat or unmute yourself, and I'm happy to answer anything throughout the training. So next slide, Miss Laura. So I want to start out with talking specifically for the Healthy Relationships Plus, that there are 2 versions of it. And for the longest time, the state has only provided the Healthy Relationships Plus that is on, well, it's on my left of my screen, so I'm assuming it's on the left for you as well, but the green one, which isn't a great way to describe it because our actual Healthy Relationships Plus has a purple stripe, so it doesn't actually have anything to do with the color of the stripe. But then the other one, if you want to go back to the last slide, sorry. The other one is the literacy supported version, and this is one that helps kind of frame the activities for individuals who may have, trouble with reading, things like that. When it comes to like the individual like handouts, and instead of having maybe them read role plays, directly on their own, it's read out loud, things like that. They've modified it some to make it more learning friendly for those who may have some of those challenges. So I actually, after, I've been with the state almost 2 years now, but after like my first few trainings of this, I really realized everyone kept asking, well, can we get the literacy supported version? And I was like, all right, next round of like our contract and printing, we are gonna request to get the literacy supported version. So starting this January, we will also be providing the Healthy Relationships Plus literacy supported version. So at the end, you'll have my contact information. If this is something you guys would like to be able to, if the Healthy Relationships Plus program is something you would like to provide to your community and to your youth group programs and things like that, just make sure when you reach out for me to mail you the curriculum book for you to specify if you want the literacy supported version or the general one. I'm happy to do either. They won't be mailed out though until probably January. So that's the only thing I have to preface. I can get you access to a PDF version online. But I personally am one who also likes to have my own curriculum in front of me so I can have Post-its and notes and things like that. So just let me know.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah, Shelby.
Could we get both?
Absolutely. Just let
Okay.
me just request both. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Great question. So next slide. So kind of wanting to give an idea of the overview, again, of what the target audience is for the Healthy Relationships Plus, that it really is looking at adolescent behaviors, but not as much as like it can be provided to older adolescents as well. So in those early 20s, things like that, it's been used there as, as young as 12, as old as 25, 30, we've had it here. We've also used it in just mixed groups and provided education to, even older populations. But in general, it is aimed towards age 12 through 24. The implementation kind of aspect is it's best composed of a group that's at least 6 students. So 6 to 25 students, depending on kind of your comfortability as a facilitator, community educator, is going to be best. The more students you have, the harder it is sometimes to navigate some of the activities, the role plays, that kind of thing. But you want to have it large enough, like 6 students, so students don't feel like it's this one-on-one session and it's kind of targeted on like them having to do all the participation. But that's kind of like the best format, and it can run depending on if you're going into schools, or maybe you only have a 3-week program, or it's a 1-week culture camp, but it can be done every day for like an hour. It's 14 sessions. So they say they're roughly an hour each for each lesson. That being said, everyone teaches at different speeds, and everybody, can pick and choose different activities, and some take shorter times than others. So it varies, but roughly I would say 40 minutes to 60 minutes is going to be an average time you could expect for one of the lessons. That doesn't mean you can't take a lesson and figure out how you can split it into maybe a shorter 30-minute block, 30-minute block, if that would work better for your kind of program you're working on. But it's a great way. You can easily have it implement all the lessons in a week. You could do it. I've had people do that for culture camps, for different summer camp ideas when they only have the students for a week. So, and I'm happy to help kind of navigate that with anyone if you're getting ready to implement it or something like that, to figure out what would be a good schedule. In general, though, we do state you want to teach it in order of the lessons. As it is an evidence-based curriculum, the only way it's considered to be evidence-based is if it's taught in the entirety and from beginning to end. And then just the precursor of, again, this, it does deal with a lot of difficult subjects and things like that. So acknowledging both that yourself or youth may have prior experience with relationship violence and other mental health concerns. And so making sure you're setting up a kind of atmosphere and environment that's safe and supportive for each lesson. All right, so thank you. You got it, Laura, before I even got it out of my mouth. If you guys decide you want to implement the Healthy Relationships Plus, I'm gonna email you, because normally I would hand them out at the training to you, a bunch of different kind of resources and tools. And this is normally right now they are paper format, but I am working on getting them all converted to being on USBs that can be provided with videos and things like that to send out to facilitators. But one is called the document overview, and this has it broken down to like lesson one, session one, and it goes over kind of a brief idea of what's covered in that lesson. What is the topic area? What are maybe some materials you're gonna need? And that's really helpful with just kind of getting an idea of maybe what community resources you want to prepare to have available, or maybe you want to have another facilitator, support person to help kind of monitor the room if it's a more difficult lesson topic area. So it's really helpful for just community educators, especially if maybe education and teaching isn't something that is your background. I mean, my background is social work. It wasn't a lot to do with teaching when I started working with youth. And so I ended up having to take some extra classes just to kind of get an idea of how to better facilitate things like that. And I will actually say the best learning experience for me is I volunteer as a coach for Girls on the Run, which is a social emotional learning program for elementary school girls that surrounds, well, social emotional learning and running, kind of exactly what it sounds like. But that was kind of how it taught me how to communicate better with youth and being prepared. But this is just kind of a resource I want to make sure to provide facilitators in being able to make it a little easier for prep. But it has everything from the key concepts so that you have an idea of what to prepare and study and look over, and then what specific handouts, reference sheets, visuals that might be used during each lesson and that you can have prepared, whether copied out or maybe you want to write it out on the board, things like that. And then if depending on like where you are at the end, there is the certificate you can have printed for students to say they've completed it. So next slide. Time. I kind of went over this when I talked about how long the lessons are, but the biggest feedback we have both for the 4th R and the Healthy Relationships Plus is 60 minutes can be a long time for a lesson. Most, high school classes can end up only being 45 minutes if they're doing, you know, oh gosh, 6 periods a day. I don't know what high school is anymore. But like, you know, maybe it's a block session, so then you can do, you know, 1 or 2 lessons in that time. But the timing definitely is something to be aware of and to monitor. And so sometimes not every activity can be able to be done. So making sure you review ahead of time to pick the things that are really informative on the skills that are focused in that lesson. And less on like some of the more like get up and move and keeping the kids energized, because they do try to incorporate like energize activities is what I would call them, to keep the students engaged, which I hate to cut those out, but sometimes in terms of priority, that's what happens. All right. Before we start into talking about strategies, are there any questions about kind of the setup of the lessons, or resources that can be provided to help facilitate any of the lessons? No? Well, feel free to interrupt if something comes to mind. So we're going to start talking about kind of some of the teaching strategies. And these are taken from a variety of sources. They're nothing specific or copyrighted by the University of Western Ontario, who created the 4th R and the Healthy Relationships Plus, but they're ones that they feel really aligned to a lot of the activities and can be incorporated into the skills and content that they want, that's being taught through the Healthy Relationships Plus. So what I think is wonderful about these is often I host trainings like this, and maybe people aren't going to actually end up teaching the Healthy Relationships Plus curriculum, but they found some of these strategies and they really liked them, and so they use them in their work otherwise. That's great. I've also had a lot of teachers who have taken the training or who haven't taken the training, but they know of these strategies and they share how they have adapted them and how it's worked with their students or different ways. And I always love hearing that. So if there's a strategy you may have used, then please feel free to share. We would love to hear like everybody's different way of teaching and facilitating kind of community education. I think it's always good to have as many tools as possible in our resource basket there. So pretty much at the start of every session, every lesson, whatever you want to call it, we do some kind of warm up. So it could be done in a group circle. It could be done by doing like an icebreaker name game. We did something kind of like that for both the start of the like yesterday and today. But these are just kind of activities to get the kids up and moving, or kind of just comfortable talking and interacting with each other. And then kind of getting them ready for the session ahead. And so there's a list of them that are specific, and we're going to just look at a couple of them that are more exciting and fun. And unfortunately, it's going to be me talking as opposed to us actually doing it. Normally, I would make you guys do it. So this is possibly one of the best ones, I think. It's called Hey, What Are You Doing? And you get the group up in a circle, and you can learn each other's names this way. And so let's say I would start jogging in place, and I would look to the person to my right, and let's say it's Laura, and I'd say, or no, she would say, hey, Lindsay, what are you doing?
Hey, Lindsay, what are you doing?
Exactly. And I would respond, even though I'm jogging in place, maybe with, Laura, I'm doing jumping jacks. And now Laura has to do jumping jacks. And then the person to her right would go for the next one and would say like, hey, Laura, what are you doing? And she would make up a different like interaction or activity. Maybe she's like, I'm eating cereal. and that person would have to demonstrate eating cereal, even though she's doing jumping jacks. And you continue to do this through the whole circle. And this is just one way where it really gets the kids giggling and laughing. And of course, we always preface it has to be something appropriate. You know, you'd be surprised how often I have to preface that with adults as well. That please make it something appropriate. And, you know, also kind to our colleagues. I will say I did a training with the public health nurses up in Fairbanks well, not this fall, but 2019 fall. And man, they're brutal to each other when it came down to making each other do all kinds of activities. People were doing push-ups and sit-ups. But it's just a way to kind of start getting the kids moving, especially it's a great thing if you're doing several lessons in a day for some reason, and you guys have them go out to lunch, or they went and had lunch and then they come back and it's kind of that mid-afternoon slug. Something like this can really get them up and moving. All right. One of the less exciting ones, the group discussion. We've all done this before, but really getting the kids to actually move away from their desks and into circles, whether it's small groups or large groups, and just having an opportunity to like reflect on things that they've worked on. Maybe you've done several lessons and so this is the second day. Having them just have like a discussion. What did you learn yesterday? What is something you feel like you want to learn? And today when we did the rosebud thorn, that's a perfect kind of guiding structure you can use for group discussions. But this is one just to kind of get people to start talking and moving. So graffiti, acting out, media, these things, they're different ways. We usually do the graffiti activity as well in this. And some people call it graffiti, some call it, I feel like it was called carousel is what I've heard. But you take some, you know, big pieces of paper. And in this case, this can be used throughout many of the lessons. It's a really great way for adapting things for identifying community resources, family relationships, things like that. How we normally do the kind of practice example of this is we take those big chart pieces of paper and I hang up them around the room, about 5 of them, and I write on each one parents, friends, media, celebrities and sports images, and culture and community. And then we divide the group into smaller groups at each one, and you have one marker that travels with that group, and you write or draw whatever is your preference, how like this, how do parents influence our self-image or our well-being? How does media, how does celebrities, how does culture and community? And have the opportunity to kind of go through. And so each group gets to rotate through with their group and the one marker that they have to each of the different pieces of paper. And then at the end, once they've returned to their original paper, you take the few minutes and they actually circle what is the common themes that fall here. And it's really a great way for kind of them to discuss, you know, what are they seeing? And then they kind of prioritize what one do they feel is the most important, and then have them decide like, why did they pick that? Why did they pick, you know, celebrities? Like, is it negative? Is it positive? You know, the image, things like that. And so it's just a way to kind of get them brainstorming and thinking about the topic area. And that's just like one example. It could be used for, you know, identifying the community resources in the sense of having them write out like physical places, individual people, things like that, that they can actually then see and identify. And so it's just a different way you can restructure and really make it applicable to the group you're working with and the lesson and topic area at hand. In the literacy supported version, how they have that one structured is instead of having them actually have to write or draw things out, they have them act it out. So it's like charade style. So they brainstorm ways in their little group, and then they actually just take turns kind of acting out that relationship or influence, just so that then there isn't that pressure of writing or anything like that. Which, I'll be honest, I wouldn't necessarily be someone who needed the literacy supported version, but I would appreciate, I usually end up drawing things because I'm a horrible speller. So it can be also just a great way to mix it up with students. So stand on the line if. This is an activity that is definitely used, and specifically in some of the lessons, but can also be used for others. But in this case, the first time you see it is going to be in the session 3-1. And it really provides youth with the opportunity to consider what are the influences around them, and also for them to recognize the common experiences other youth are having that may be similar, where they may be thinking, I'm alone in this, and they look around and they're able to see that other youth are actually experiencing very similar things. So for this activity, you have half of the group stand on one side of a tape, or if there's a lines already on the floor, if it's tiled or something like that, we often bring painter's tape that we can stick down on the carpet or whatever for people to stand on. So you have half the group stand on one side and half the group stand on the other, facing each other, and about one step away from that line. And then you, as a facilitator, community educator, stand at the either end, but where they can kind of see you, and you read some statements. And in the actual curriculum, it provides set statements for you. That being said, this is a great example of where things can be adapted culturally to meet the needs of the community you're working in. So, for example, if you wanted to modify some of them ahead of time so that it had cultural foods or activities or community-specific places, that's totally okay. The idea is having those statements prepared ahead of time for you to read, and have them prepared in order where it starts out more, what's the word I'm looking for this morning? I should have started drinking my coffee earlier, guys, sorry. But starting with easier topics to just get them warmed up before you move into some of the heavier things. So in this case, maybe it would be stand on the line if you speak English. And, the kids take a step forward and stand on the line. Stand on the line if you like eating food with curry in it. Stand on the line if you like playing sports. And so with each statement, kids step forward. You take a second to let them look around and see who else is there. And as the statements go forward, they talk about a little more, specific topic areas. So stand on the line if you like spending time with your family. Stand on the line if you have a curfew. Stand on the line if you get along with your parents, stand on the line if you've ever felt really sad and hopeless. It's a way to kind of start the conversation and kind of warm the kids up. And then afterwards, you take the time to debrief for this one and ask them, what did the statements have in common? What were the things that influenced them? And how did it make you feel when thinking about your peers as well as other people within your relationships that relate to those statements, just depending on the topic area. So it's just another good example. So another one of those standing up and getting in the line area is this values line and fold the line. And this is a way that is great to get kids to interact with each other with new partners, so that they're not always going to their best friend or the person they know the most. And so this is used a lot in session 4, which focuses on some communication and things like that. But you get everyone to stand in line, and maybe you tell them to stand in line by height or what's a common one I've seen in a lot of trainings, when they get us up to stand in the line, they say, stand in the line by your birthday without, using any words. So people are using their hands and things like that to show what date, which I'm always trying to figure out, because it's like, I was born on the 23rd. So is that 2 and 3, or am I saying 5? But getting them to stand up in a line, and then having them fold, the person at the one end folds over to the person at the other end. And that is how people pair up. And once standing on there, you're going to have them actually have some prompting communication topics. So let's start with like the idea, you may have side A and side B, and have side A have a statement about power in relationships is a good thing, and have them respond to that statement. And then the other line would actually, depending on what you're working on, so maybe you're working on reflective listening, would reflect what the person had to say. Or maybe you're working on like teaching them skills about having them talk about the different, like having an opposite opinion. And so even if it's not necessarily the opinion they hold, like what would be your response if you had the opposite opinion, that power in relationships isn't a good thing? So it really depends, and there's different prompts and things like that for this activity, but you want to make sure you're giving both sides time to share and respond, and going through a couple of the different options that are available. It's really interesting to hear kind of then the debrief afterward with youth on, how did it make you feel to have a response that was opposite of what you believe maybe, or what do you feel like you might have learned from the other person in their response or their statement? So it's a great way to kind of also start the discussion and lead into the different topics. So this is a fun one, and like there is music embedded in this slide, and so I'm always happy to send this to facilitators. But this is where you can get the kids up and moving, and is exactly like almost like musical chairs. So you play the song and the kids start moving around the room, and then you stop the music and you ask them the next question. So if you want to go to the next slide, what does it look like when people are in a healthy relationship? What do you see? And so they pair up with the person closest to them and they answer that question. And then if you click it again, it should give you the next one. And then you start the music again, or you can have them just do the opposite. What does it look like when people are in an unhealthy relationship, and what do they see? And so this really starts to be used in session 6, and it's, I think, just a great way. You can use this in many of the sessions, but it's the first one where it's suggested in the curriculum because it gets the kids moving. You can pick the most current favorite song. I think it's a CeeLo Green song that I have uploaded there. At this point, it probably needs to be updated with a more current one. I usually go to my surrogate nephew and ask him what his kids listening to these days. But it's just something that is a great fun activity to really kind of get the kids up and moving, but then also engaging in conversation with different youth. All right. So also as part of this lesson in session 6, it starts really talking about active listening skills. And so this is a great, just kind of an example where you have them write out on a piece of paper this kind of face the person, ignore distractions, clarification, and summarize these skills and write them out, and then have them actually write out what does that look like for them, and then walk around and have them have the opportunity to pair up and have one of the individuals be the speaker and one be the listener, and they kind of outline what they feel like the person does well with the guiding question. Like, so you're given a prompt to them and the one person responds and they kind of do an assessment, like, was I facing the person? Did I ignore the laughing of my peer to my right? You know, did I then, they provide the summarization and clarification, like how well, so they each get an opportunity to kind of review and, you know, kind of assess that with their peers after you've gone through these. It can be really helpful for youth to kind of get an idea of like, okay, like this is what active listening actually looks like. And this is how I feel when someone's actually listening to me. And so I always making sure that everyone gets an opportunity time-wise to have the experience. In the literacy supportive version, this is the same, but instead of having the youth write it out themselves, it's a handout. So there's less text for the youth to have to reference, that kind of thing. And that offers a little bit more support for it. The reason they have the youth write it out in the non-literacy supported one is just because that helps reinforce kind of the idea of that concept and things like that. And that's seen through a lot of the curriculum activities, is having youth write things out as well as act them out to kind of reinforce that skill and make it stronger in retaining it. All right, so 4 corners. And this is a strategy, it's used in session 8, but it's really talking about youth to have them consider boundaries and things like that that are going on in their life. And I have actual like laminated cards. I'm sorry, I forgot to turn off my reminders. So it, where was I? So I have like laminated cards I use when I do the training and I run through this. They have them where you can copy them out. They're literally, they say, absolutely, yes, but, no way. That being said, I really am trying to make sure we're here to help support the facilitation of this curriculum. And if you are in an agency where funding is a concern, which can often happen for a lot of nonprofits and things like that, and you would like to have like laminated cards that say this, please reach out to me and I'm happy to see if we can find it within our budget to provide resources like that. And kind of, I'd love to start being able to provide more of a toolkit for facilitation with things like having these printed out and laminated for facilitators, or some of the other guiding principles prepared for them to have when they're teaching. But never hesitate to reach out, because I'm always looking at ways I can be more creative and supportive with our grant funding for this program. But back to the strategy, 4 corners. You want to go back to that, Laura, sorry. This is the idea that you hang the signs up in 4 different corners or 4 different areas of the room, and you read a statement out loud and you have the kids move to them. So depending on what the statement is, maybe it's like, I think a healthy meal is, I don't know, a cheeseburger and fries. And, you know, kids go and pick where they want to stand. So then they take the time to kind of talk about like, why did they pick, you know, absolutely, or yes, but. And then they should kind of report out to the group. Well, then you give the opportunity that then the kids can come back and they can switch to a different one. So where is it that they feel more comfortable? So maybe they said, yeah, cheeseburger and fries is healthy, but in moderation, and I feel like it's not. And somebody who was standing there was like, oh, well, yes, I was going to say yes, but I don't really like cheese, so I'm going to move to like, you know, absolutely, or something like that. That's a kind of silly example. They have much more specific serious boundaries, but that's an easy kind of way to comprehend how that kind of activity works. So huddle up. This is one that can be used for kind of closing out the day or even starting the day, but it's specifically used in section 11. And this is when youth can consider friendships and relationships on how they are worth working on, if it's a positive relationship, or what it might take to like possibly end it. And so to start this activity, students would need to be numbered into their groups from 1 to 4 so that you can mix them up. Again, not pairing necessarily with their best friend. And you would read the scenario that's provided and then have them huddle up. And each group would take the time to decide whether in that situation, is that relationship a make it or break it? Meaning, is it something that's a relationship worth working on, or is it something that should be ended based on the information given in the strategy? And after they have some time to discuss it, you would call out a group number, and that group would report out on where they came and what was the stand, and kind of be prepared to prompt and facilitate and guide the youth on it. And there's some really great examples of like how this can be done within the curriculum, but it's just a way to kind of have the kids just start really recognizing, because it is one of the later lessons, what makes a positive or healthy relationship versus what makes one that you would want to end. So the next few strategies are, well, just the one is really what I'm going to go over is kind of the cool down strategies. And same way we recommend that there's opening ones at the beginning of the day. There's also kind of the ones you want to close the day out. And that's just to kind of wrap it up, provide you kind of the opportunity. I think this is a great way for the community educator to know, okay, where was it that we might need to review in the morning with the kids or the next lesson, or, you know, kind of doing a check-in of where the atmosphere is left and how the kids are doing. So it just depends. So this can be done, again, in a circle format. Depending on activity, it could be done in smaller groups. I love doing like an inside-outside circle. So having a smaller circle and then a bigger circle with people facing, and people can rotate around and do like a one-to-one sharing, and then having it share out to the group, that kind of thing. Next slide. So this is one of the more fun, especially if it's maybe the last lesson of the, curriculum, or it's getting close to the end, to be able to have the kids do, because it's fun and it's engaging. But you take some old Jenga sets and you write things about healthy relationships and the topic areas that were kind of covered in the curriculum, and you have them play Jenga, but they have to, instead of playing it normally, they have to have like an open-ended positive statement regarding whatever is put on there. So, or they have to relate it to like what they learned. So a healthy relationship is XYZ. Assertive communication is, looks like this. So having them kind of repeat a skill that they would have learned in the curriculum, and, just kind of engaging in that kind of conversation and review of what was learned throughout the program. So it's a fun way, great, like just example of how you can take something that maybe kids have already played before and incorporate it into the lesson. So these are the actual videos of some of the strategies. So we're going to play first the "Hey, what are you doing?" And that was the one I talked about at the beginning as an icebreaker opening one, and kind of gives you an example of what it would look like, since, my talking, it's not always the most engaging part.
We're going to do a warm-up activity just to try to remember everyone's names that we learned last day. So this activity is
Laura, I think the sound just went off when you muted yourself. Laura. I think the sound, unless it's just me, isn't playing. I think you have to be unmuted for us to hear it.
doing, but I'm going to say, we're going to do a warm-up activity just to try to remember everyone's names that we learned last day. So this activity is called, hey, what are you doing? Okay, it's going to be fun, but to begin with, I just want us to remember what each other's names are, and then we'll get going with it. So just quickly go around. It's going to be really important, especially that you remember the person to the left of you, what their name is. So Miss Townsley, Keisha, Simone, Kayla, Jennifer, Jessica,
Isaiah, Zach, Terry, Molly, Michael, Elijah, Dasha,
Vanessa, Megan,
Ryan, Brett,
Caitlin. Great. Okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to do some kind of a movement. And so you would then say to me, hey, Miss Townsley, what are you doing? But I'm going to say something different than what I'm actually doing. And whatever I say is what you have to do. Okay? And then once you start doing your thing, you're going to ask. But when you say, hey, what are you doing? Make sure that you ask the person. Make sure you say, hey, the person's name, and then what are you doing? Because it's to review names. All right? You with me? All right. So here we go. Hey, Miss Townsley, what are you doing? I'm jogging. Hey, Keisha, what are you doing? Skiing. Hey, Simone, what are you doing? I am. Oh. Hey, Kayla, what are you doing? I'm dancing. Hey, Jennifer, what are you doing? Building a building.
Hey, Jessica, what are you doing?
Jumping up and down.
What are you doing? Hey, Isaiah, what are you doing? I'm skydiving. Zach, what are you doing? I'm skateboarding. Hey, Darren, what are you doing? I'm swimming. Kevin, what are you doing? I'm crying. Hey, Michael, what are you doing? I'm boxing. Hey, Elijah, what are you doing? Doing some sit-ups. Hey,
Dasha, what are you doing?
You haven't started.
Hey, Vanessa, what are you doing? I'm burying a person.
Hey, Ryan, what are you doing? Make cookies.
Hey, Brett, what are you doing?
I'm crying.
Hey, Caitlin, what are you doing? Jogging. Okay, great job, everyone. So, is there anyone in the group who thinks that they could go around and say everyone's name after that? Can you? Maybe? Do you want to give it a, who thinks they could almost get it? That we could help you out if you get stuck on a few. Okay, give it a try. And if it's wrong, that's okay. We'll just help you and say what our name is. Kayla, Simone. Know your name, don't tell me I can't remember. You're Kayla. Okay. Jennifer, Jessica, Isaiah, Zach, Aaron. I remember your name. Michael, Elijah, Dasha, Vanessa, me, Ryan, Brett, and Caitlin. Great, good job. Okay, thank you.
So at this time, it's 11 o'clock. Do any of you need a break or would you like to carry on? Oh, Lindsay?
Then, I mean, I'm fine carrying on if,
Okay,
or if we want to take a 5-minute break, that's fine too.
we can take a 5-minute break for folks to use the restroom or stretch or whatever they need to do.
All right, sounds good.
So we'll reconvene about 11:05. And then we'll carry on with the rest of the videos.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. Go ahead and stop. All right, everyone, it's about 11:05. Lindsay, are you back?
I am back.
Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed with stand on the line and stand up
I'm
video.
back too.
All right, today we're going to do a strategy called stand on the line. And I'm going to have you come up here and do exactly that. So what I'd like for you to do is come up to the front and stand on either side of the masking tape line right here. And if we can have half on this side, half on that side, and just stand about a foot back from the line. Go ahead, thank you. All right, so stand on the line involves you stepping forward and standing on the line if the statement I read applies to you. So you're going to need to think about it. If it applies to you, take a step forward, stand on the line, and then after a couple seconds, I'll thank you, and then you can return to your spot. All right, so let's try it out. Here we go. Stand on the line if you like to play sports. Excellent, thank you. Stand on the line if you like to draw or paint. Excellent, thank you. Stand on the line if you have siblings. Thank you. Stand on the line if you like to listen to music. Excellent, thank you. Stand on the line if you think one of the most important characteristics of a good friend is that they are funny. Thank you. Stand on the line if you think it's more important to have one or two really good friends rather than a whole bunch of friends. Thank you. So this strategy is called stand up. It works very much the same as stand on the line, but if the statement applies to you, you're actually going to stand in where you are, and then you're going to sit down. So stand up if you enjoy going to concerts. Excellent. Thank you. Stand up if you think school should start later in the morning. Excellent. Thank you. Stand up if you have sent a text message to someone you care about in the last 24 hours. Excellent. Thank you.
The next strategy that we're going to be doing is called the four corner strategy. And you can see around the classroom, we've got 4 green signs posted. Absolutely, no way, yes, but, and our 4th one is no but. For this strategy, you're going to think about your own personal views about issues related to substance use and abuse. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a statement, and you have to think about that statement with your own beliefs. Do you absolutely agree? No way you disagree? Yes, but, and no but. Once I give you the statement, I want you to think to yourself, this is an individual decision, for about 20 seconds, where do I think I want to go? Please keep in mind there's no right or wrong answer, and try not to be influenced by your peers around you. We don't want you and all of your friends going to one corner. We want you to think for yourselves based on your own beliefs. So the statement that I'm going to give you is, the drinking age should be lowered. So think to yourself, do you absolutely agree the drinking age should be lowered? No way. You disagree? Yes, you know, it could be lowered, but, or no, it shouldn't be lowered, but. Okay, so what I'd like you to do right now is just gravitate to the corner that you think you agree with. Okay, great. Now that you're in your corners, and it's very often that you might have a large group in one and a few at the others, and we'll talk about how you would deal with that. What I would like you to do in your corners is just talk to a couple people that are there from your large group, maybe 3 people, 3 or 4 people talk together and talk about why you came to that corner. Because why you went to a corner, your perspective could be completely different than the person beside you about why they went to that corner. So have a conversation about why you went to the area you did, and then in a couple minutes I'm going to ask from a reporter from each area to share that information with us.
So I have a question. What do you do when you only have 1 student in a corner?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we actually have the situation right now. As a teacher, I would probably go over and have a conversation with them about why they went to the area that they did. Just, we don't want them having a conversation with themselves, you know, and we can give some feedback back and forth. One thing as a teacher you want to keep in mind is, you know, maybe that person doesn't want to be with any of the other people. It might not even be his true answer, and maybe he's being ostracized from other people. So you want to make sure that everyone in the room is feeling included. Or it could be that, you know, he's the person that believes that, and I just want to make sure that he has someone to talk to. Does anybody else have any strategies of what they think they would do if you're given a similar situation? Okay. All right, so we'll continue on then. If you can just chat in your corners. Good. Okay. So what I would like to ask you now is, I'm going to ask the person in your group who has the shortest hair to be your reporter. And perhaps I will start with this group over here. If you can just tell me what you discussed about why you moved to that corner.
We thought that the drinking age could perhaps be lowered, but only with appropriate education. We also thought that many young people drink underage as it is. And if there wasn't such a big deal associated with drinking at a particular age and it became part of the culture with education, that it might not be such a bad thing.
Okay, thanks a lot for sharing your perspective. I'm going to ask from this large group here, I know that you didn't all get a chance to hear each other's opinions. If I could have one person perhaps present some of the views from your corner. Who has the shortest hair? Oh, pretty long hair. Thanks, Debbie. Sure.
We said that students and young people are just not responsible enough to drink, and there's a lot of irresponsible behavior going on, and it would be way too dangerous. And it just wouldn't be able to keep safe. So we absolutely feel like it should not be lowered.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for sharing that. What's important in this strategy is to remember that you might have gone to a corner you weren't really sure, but you thought that's what you believe. But once you've heard the different perspectives from each corner, you might say to yourself, you know, now that I've heard that perspective, I think actually I'm going to move to that corner. And that's okay, because it's okay that peers have an influence on others when they're basing their opinion on their beliefs and their facts. And I think that's a good thing to open up that conversation. There was great points that were brought forth from both corners. It just goes to show that you're not necessarily always right or wrong. You can have a difference of perspective on the situation. Were there any other questions? Yes.
Do you find that most kids end up following their friends into the corners? And if they do, how do you handle that?
Another great question. And this is something, I mean, we're dealing with teenagers, right? So very often they will go with their peers. One strategy that I've used in the past is you can give everyone a piece of paper, just a piece of scrap paper, and you actually ask them in that first 20 seconds, I want you to write down the corner that you're going to go to. And then they're committed to what's on the paper. Then you write down and you have to go to that corner. So that's just a strategy. I mean, it's not a perfect strategy. They still may go to the corner with their peers. But when you have that discussion part and people are able to verbalize why they went there, they're still hearing the comments from the other corners as well. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
So all of those are just some examples of the strategies we talked about. But one of the things I want to highlight specifically on this slide is that website in the left-hand corner that says theyouth.relationships.org. And I'll make sure that it's emailed out to you guys as well. But that is the 4th R and Healthy Relationships Plus website that's developed that has all kinds of different resources. It has some research and background on both of the curriculums, as well as like just further information about some of the other curriculum that's offered. But those actual videos are also online there under their community practice section. So you guys can always pull them up and have them looking. Oh, if you can go back, Laura.
Oh, sorry, automatic.
It happens. And so that it can be a nice like reminder of how they're done, but they also have a couple other different strategies too there that are demonstrated if you want to be able to see those as well. So just like another resource that's available and allowed. And I think it's just a website that's really important to highlight for, because they're constantly adding different things to it.
We'll provide that website on our resource basket site as well.
Perfect.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to start talking about the specific kind of 4th R skills that are in the Healthy Relationships Plus program, and kind of break some of them down and using some of the videos, some more videos as well. So if you want to go to the next slide. The specific 4th R skills that are incorporated in the Healthy Relationships Plus are active listening, assertive communication, delay, refusal, and negotiation, communication, which is a communication skills, help seeking, providing support, apologizing, and ending a relationship. So these are all the skills that are going to be broken down through each of the sessions that are taught throughout the curriculum. We are only going to focus on kind of the first couple in going through this training. So to kind of give you some idea and background on the skills and the skills practice, the actual sessions are really broken up where throughout the session, students have the opportunity to both practice the skills for healthy relationships, so that then they can use them within their home, in their friend groups, things like that, through the role plays and that are developed in the sessions. And they provide different situations to help the youth kind of think about things that they may actually have. And this is another place where, again, I would make cultural adaptations in the terms of some of the examples are like, oh, we went to the mall. Well, if we have, youth in Queethlook, they're not going to the mall, but maybe they're going down to like the river, or maybe they're going to the community hall that's in their community. So you can also change the examples too for youth to make it. One of the other things we really like to do is highlight the importance of having the adults facilitate role plays ahead of time so that they can see where like the skill is being implemented, how can it be implemented, that kind of thing. This goes back to what I discussed yesterday, where we want to make sure we are demonstrating how it is supposed to be done, not how it's not supposed to be done. It really reinforces with the youth the positive as opposed to enforcing the negative. And then always taking the time to have like it explained clearly with the youth on how are these skills used and what to do when you can't remember how maybe they're structured. And as a facilitator, when they're doing those role plays, we always encourage you to walk around, observe, and then provide like that kind of skills practice revision of if they aren't effectively doing it, or maybe they're taking that route of having it be from the kind of like negative of like, this is, fun, you're having it kind of being reframed to back to that more positive and practical use of the skill. So how they have you structure the specific skill practice is make sure that there's clear directions written out for it. Start by having it structured, the students set up, provide that role play model. That can be harder if you're facilitating on your own, but sometimes it's just specifying from the start, like, all right, imagine I'm now person A and I say this XYZ to person B and person B says this. Not always like the most comfortable, but it is an opportunity to at least provide the model of what it's going to look like. So focusing on the skills. So as the youth practice, kind of going back to what I said, make sure that you're checking in and kind of focusing that, you know, the sillies, the giggles, things like that are being toned down, and they're really trying to practice some of what is being taught, which goes to that monitoring and coaching as necessary. And providing that immediate feedback on the skills is going to be more important than waiting to the very end. So really kind of talking with the youth about how they structure their responses to the situation to make sure that they're short and they're focused on that specific skills. This just keeps the kids on track, you know, is considerate of the time since lessons are longer, and making sure that it's really well structured. And the last is to debrief completely. So really talking about what was the hardest part of that specific skill that was practiced, what was hard about the role play, and preparing kind of, you know, responses for the youth. Like maybe they said, well, like I felt like I didn't know what to say. So if you're not able to respond on the spot, because I mean, sometimes I can't think quickly on my feet. So taking the time said, okay, so tomorrow we're going to review, and can I use that as an example of how we can improve, so that after the lesson, you can go back and say, okay, how would be a good way to use this skill in that situation and provide it back the next day. So one of our handy dandy guidelines we have for the youth, and I can definitely get you an electronic file for this so you could make your own poster, but this also falls back to, I'm happy to help provide this as a resource, laminated one. We've had some 11 by 17 ones made before, and I think I might still have some. I don't go into my office anymore really, so, but if it's something you'd be interested, please let me know and I can see if we can get some more made. But it's really helps for guiding the person who's responding to a situation. And so sometimes you'll give like a role play or the situation, and you have the youth take the time to write out, like, how are they feeling? Like, how did I feel when they said that, you know, or, you know, in the situation, like if it's to do with conflict, you know, and they're approaching someone about it, like the win-win option. So that's the idea of, was I able to find something that made me feel like it was, you know, a positive interaction that we were both happy with? Was I individually able to stay calm? You know, were my rights and my feelings like respected? And then when thinking about the skill of assertive communication, did I have assertive communication? You know, was it clearly stated what happened, and was like my response realistic? So it's a way that they really have the kind of lead through with the youth on them having reflection to the experience so that they can assess their individual role. And they really want to make sure it's focused on them individually, as opposed to thinking like, well, Laura didn't do this and Laura didn't do that. Like, I didn't feel like Laura stayed calm, because that's not teaching them the skill of being a healthy relationship and being a healthy individual in terms of responding. And so we want to make sure it's focusing on assessing their personal response and their personal skill in that situation or moment. And if you see some youth that are struggling with this, it's a great time to kind of pause the whole lesson and, like, you know, use a, you know, whether it's an example you've developed of yourself, or, you know, looking through some of the role plays and seeing how could you kind of do a breakdown of how you would respond to each of these questions. So we really like to reinforce again this website for you guys, but if it does look a little different than this picture right now, because they did just update it. But if you go here on the website, it has that tab for skills for effective relationships. And it's a resource that has the demonstration of the various skills that we're going to watch in the next few slides. And they have clips that are related to the different behaviors, whether it's, the risk level behavior. So from less risky to more risky. That's everything from like maybe cheating on a school test to like sexual relationship behaviors, risky behaviors. So kind of going through so you can see some really good examples, and they can be incorporated both into your lessons, but we also are working on, again, converting from CDs to USBs, that we did some replays of having Alaskan youth actually make some videos, because since this is from Canada, some of the language, it's just slightly different. My family comes from Edmonton area, and my cousins, we just have different words and terms that we use that I sometimes have to pause when I'm in conversation. What are they talking about? So just being aware that there is slight language differences for some of the scenarios, and kind of prefacing that with the youth if you're using those videos that are available. Otherwise, I'm happy to provide the CDs if you have access to a CD-ROM. Just most laptops and computers these days don't have that. So we're still a little behind the times for the state of Alaska, but we're working on it. So we're gonna watch the first video, which is assertive and passive aggressive communication. So I'm gonna show you it, and each scene was created by the youth. They're not paid actors, so be aware it's not perfect. But I want you to notice that the students you'd be watching the screen, and then it's gonna pop up to focus which skill was used. And it's gonna play it 3 different times with the 3 different styles: the assertive, the passive, and the aggressive communications. And there is a slight delay to offer you the opportunity when you're using this video to say, like, so what skill was this? And having the youth yell out, or someone raise their hand. You can even just pause it, because otherwise it will just run through, so that they kind of have an opportunity to identify what was the skill. This is used after you've taught, obviously, about assertive communication versus passive communication, and not just throwing them into the fire of guessing. Oh,
Pardon me.
No worries. And so I will mute myself, but let Laura play.
Oh my God, did you see her last weekend at that party?
Look so bad.
Oh my God. Oh, we're talking about Caitlin last
At the party after
Yeah,
that.
God.
Oh my god,
She
it was
looked
awful.
She was literally
To
all
be honest,
over
like, I
that
just
guy.
felt bad for her.
No, not really. It was funny though.
Yeah, so someone got a photo of her on my phone. Like,
No way.
how bad
Oh
is
my
that?
God.
It's
So
so
bad.
brutal.
I
Oh.
think you should post it. Same here, to be honest.
Really?
Post the photo.
Like, I don't want to
So
humiliate her or anything.
No,
else.
it'll be funny. Everybody will laugh. It's so funny.
It's so funny. I'm like, I don't want people to know it was me. Because
No,
I don't need that.
Honestly.
Like on Kobe.
Oh. Yeah, no,
It's you, and you could just post it.
We'll
Really?
laugh.
Like, I think I'd feel bad
It'll be
about it,
so
but like,
funny.
it's so
Style
good.
deserves this. Trust me. Just post
So, like, do you think I should just, like, should I caption it or anything? Or
Yeah,
just
yeah,
leave it at
that's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, let's do it.
Oh my God, did you see her last weekend at that party?
She looked so bad. It was so funny. Guys, what you talking about?
Oh, we're talking about Caitlin.
At the party last weekend.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It was so bad.
She looked
To be honest, like, I just felt bad for her. It looked so bad. It was so funny. Yeah, yeah, it was awful. But look at the photo someone took of my phone.
Oh my God.
I know, how bad is it though?
I can't
That is
believe
hilarious.
it.
So funny. I really have to delete that, but I just can't bring myself to it.
I think you should post it. Same here.
Really?
It's so funny. People will laugh.
No, like, no, I think that would really hurt her.
Oh, come on, it'll be funny. It's a joke.
Guys, like, people are, okay, not only is like people are gonna think bad about her, but they're also gonna think like bad about us if we
People
post
are
that.
honestly on Kubi.
Yeah, but guys, like, people are going to find out, like, it's gonna go around.
And like if that's her decision, she wanted to do that, that's her choice. And like I think we should respect that. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Like we're gonna get so much trouble if something finds out.
Are you sure?
And like I don't want to humiliate her. Yeah, like that could get really bad really fast.
I guess you have a point.
Just delete it.
Yeah.
I think we should too. Done.
Did you see for that weekend? Oh my god.
She looked so bad.
Yeah,
So
what you talking about? I was talking about Caitlin last weekend.
the party last weekend.
Yeah, it was so
Oh my gosh.
She was acting so gross.
I just felt bad for her, to be honest.
It was disgusting.
You know, it's awful. Yeah, well, look at this photo someone got on my phone. That is so funny. I know, I really have to delete it. Like, it's horrible.
This is perfect. You need to post it.
Why would I post that?
She's hilarious.
No, but she doesn't deserve that. Like, if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do.
Acting like that for a certain reason, so might as well show it to the
Are you guys being serious right now?
Yeah.
I can't believe you're being so rude about it. Like, guys, if we posted it, somebody's gonna find out. Like, yeah, but I'm not gonna humiliate her in front of everyone. I can't believe how judgmental you guys are being right
I
now.
don't know why you're overreacting. It's
I'm not overreacting about it. I just don't want to be an awful person. Screw you guys.
So as you can tell, there's the various different demonstrations of the communication styles. And one of the big things that they're focusing on and they have you structured through the lessons of these communication skills is that the most desired is assertive communication versus obviously aggressive or passive communication. But in the role plays that they provide, they actually have them still practice some of that passive communication so that they know what is it, you know, does that seem more natural? So if that's more natural, then it can help them identify what skill they need to improve on to be able to have that assertive communication in their skills. So the other skill I want to talk about is the guidelines for making an apology. And they use the acronym Take a Seat. And to be honest, I think I talked about this yesterday. It's a skill that I think everyone's great to have practice now and then because we all have a hard time apologizing, I think. I know I myself am my own worst enemy. I am horrible at admitting when I'm wrong when it comes to disagreements with my husband. And fortunately, he is extremely patient and is like, I'll wait for a little bit and then you'll decide you are wrong and you will apologize. And I usually do come to my senses. But in these guidelines of making an apology, the first one that we take for the S is be sincere. And so we explain to the youth on, you know, making sure that they're sincere. And what does sincere mean? So this is something that like we would have the students be given a like situation in pairing up for role playing again and have them practicing it. So if you want to click for the next one. So clearly having them explain why they're sorry and, you know, making sure that it's a non-judgmental example of an explanation of why they're sorry. Next one. Explaining what action you will take, if possible. So in the lessons, there are some really good examples where they talk about that. It's not always possible to take action to correct the situation at hand. And so in those situations, like what action would you do in the future might be something, or what action do you wish you had taken to prevent that situation? And the last T of it is using that serious tone of voice. And really, when we're demonstrating this skill of making an apology or when we're teaching it with the youth, that tone of voice can make everything like different when it comes to this apology, or in so many situations, and talking with youth about that, because we know teens can get some attitude. I know I get some attitude at times, and the tone of voice we use and our inflection really make a difference in how it's received by the individual. The other aspect of this is that they really also focus on how to receive the apology positively, as well as what to do when apologies aren't necessary. Like, you feel like an apology is warranted, but it's not necessarily what happens. So, and for a while, again, we had posters of this one too, but again, I'm happy to, it's just something great, especially if you have a classroom where you can hang them up so students can see it throughout like the school year or something like that, or in your office if you have like an office where youth interact. It's a nice reminder. So the next part of like the skills is one that we're going to show you is about the delay, refusal, and negotiation. And this all has to do with kind of that idea of peer pressure scenarios, things like that, where they can use different communication skills as they're working their way up. So, as you may be able to guess, our ultimate goal is that straight refusal communication skills. But that takes some time for kids to like kind of gain the confidence in that. So each one, the delay and the negotiation, are kind of the steps forward and into getting them to that point where they feel confident enough to have that straight, direct refusal. So we'll have Laura play the video.
Yo, baby.
Hey, what's up?
I got an issue.
What's wrong, bro?
You know that kid Kevin in your biology class?
Yeah, your partner.
Yeah, he's screwing with my girl.
Dude, are you sure it's that
No,
Kevin?
it's not Kevin. Like this Kevin?
Does he know you're dating her?
Yeah, it's all over Facebook. How can you know?
Well, how do you know that?
I messaged her twice last night. She sent me screenshots. He asked her for pics, and he asked her to hook up.
I never would have thought he would have done something like that, yo.
It's stupid. He's barking up the wrong tree.
What are you gonna do, yo?
Okay. He lives down the road from me, right?
Yeah.
His dad just got a brand new Corolla. We're gonna go tonight. We're gonna slash all four of his tires. Yeah, your fan. You're supposed to have back.
Okay, but listen, I can't tell you, bro. Like, I got a lot of things to do. I gotta have it. Like, I'm doing biology with her. He's my partner, bro. Like, he's coming over later. Like, can't slash his tires if you can't, drive over to my house. Like, yo, here's the thing. I'm not doing really well in that class, and I need it, man. Just give it a few days. Wait till Friday. Sleep on it, bro. Like,
I sleep on it, but he's messing with my girl now.
Bro, I need him to get my markup. That's it. Literally, just wait for that. And then afterwards, man, just text me. We'll talk about it. Just sleep on it for now.
All right.
Don't even worry about it. Yo, it's Kevin.
All right.
Relax. All right. Have a good night.
Yo,
Hey, what's good?
listen, I got an issue I need to help me with.
Issue? What do you mean, bro? What's going on?
Hey, you know Kevin, your biology partner?
Yeah, I know Kevin. I see him every day, bro.
He's screwing with my girl.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Bro, Kevin.
Kevin, messaged her twice last night. Sent me pics. Hook up with me.
Yo, that kid's so innocent, like, sincere, yo. What part is he barely even speaks to me? I never would have thought in, like, legit 1,000 years that he'd do that.
His dad's
That's disgusting, bro. What are you gonna do?
okay. They live down the street from me. His dad's got a brand new Corolla. You and me are gonna go. We're gonna slash tires.
You and me?
Yeah, you're a fan. You're supposed to have my back with this one.
I get that, bro. I mean, I know you since we were wearing diapers, bro, but like, you can't just involve me in that. Yo, he's my biology partner. I kind of.
He's not gonna know you did it though.
I know, man, but like, he's done nothing to me. I was never raised like that, yo. I can't just go out of my way to harm someone. Like, he never did anything to me, man, and like personally, I just don't feel comfortable right now.
So if you were in my position and you asked me to go do something, you know I'd do it though. That's the thing.
So are different people, man, but I just can't help you. I'm sorry, man, but I can't get involved in something like this. Or whatever. Sorry, Eric.
Yo, Benny.
Hey, what's up, Eric?
Chill. I gotta talk to you about something. I'm having an issue.
What's up?
You know Kevin?
Yeah, it's my biology partner. I know Kevin.
Yeah. He messaged my girlfriend twice last night.
About what?
He asked her for nudes and he asked her to hook up.
Dude, are you sure it's that Kevin?
Positive with Kevin. I have him on Facebook too. Same profile, same everything.
Dude, there's no way, man. The kid's like the most sincere kid I've ever met.
I don't know what happened, but he decided to message her. He knows I'm dating her too.
So you gonna go talk to him?
No, dude. I got a plan. His parents and him, they live down the street from me, right?
Yeah.
Brand new car. Got it like 2 days ago.
Okay.
New radio slash tires.
You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
You didn't do anything to me, man.
Yeah, but you're my fan. You gotta have my back. We gotta send a message.
I got your back, bro, but like you can do anything else but that. Why you gotta slash his, especially his dad's car? Like,
So he drives it. It doesn't matter. It's affecting the whole family out of his stupid decision.
exactly, bro. That's just making it worse. Like, you don't gotta take it to another level like
Yeah,
that,
but
man.
you shouldn't have messed with my girl in the first place.
I know, but listen, Eric, like, it's Kevin. Like, he's kind of a weird kid, yo, but people just make impulsive decisions, yo. Listen, Eric, you're a big guy. You're pretty intimidating. I honestly think you should just go talk to him, man to man. Like, just taking it a step further. What if you get caught, bro? You're MVP.
I'm not gonna get caught.
I don't know. You just gotta think about your career, dude. It's not really a good decision. Seriously, man. I got you, bro. I'll help talk to you with him, but I'm not gonna slash his ties, man.
Alright, whatever. You text me then.
All right, man.
So as you guys can see, those skills, depending on people's personal opinion, I think are a little more easy for youth to see and identify than maybe the assertive communication videos skills that were shown earlier. But it's one that provides like some really good identification for how can they do that when they're in a difficult situation. And so there's more of those videos as well online that are really like helpful, I think, as teachers just and educators to like view, so that you guys can feel versed in how to like communicate those skills as well as demonstrate them. So for the next slide is a video that demonstrates like a combination of the skills. And this is a really good example because each scenario is going to play and it's going to have the assertive communication. It may have delay, refusal, negotiation, all as a supporting kind of skills.
Hey Sean, what are you doing tonight?
Not sure yet. Why? You should come over to my place. My parents are gone in Grand Bend for the weekend.
Steal some of his dad's bottle.
Oh, he hides it. I don't really know about that.
Why not?
I don't really drink. I'm not.
We'll teach you. Don't worry about it.
I mean, like, just it's not my thing. I just, because like I've also got like soccer practice in the morning. Like, I can just skip it. My mom will get upset about that. I mean, what would I do if I go home and I'm like, and I'm drunk?
I sleep in his house all the time.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
just stay at my place. I just, like, do we have to drink?
I mean, like, we don't have to, but it's fun.
Well, fun. But I mean, like, we don't have to drink to have a good time, though. I mean, we could just watch movies or like play some games.
Yeah. Yes, but like, you can still come. It's fun.
Yeah, like, because like, just what happens if like somebody gets hurt? What do we do then?
Yeah, I guess. But
I mean, like, I'm down to hang out. I'm not drinking. Like, I don't want to do that.
You still want to
just
come?
one drink? Yeah, no, I'm good. But I'll come. I'll still come.
Want to come?
Yeah, I'll come hang out. Right,
Okay.
well, yeah, just come over and have a drink. Okay.
We'll see you later tonight.
Hey, yeah, we'll see you guys later
Okay.
tonight.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
So just an example of how they take all the skills and kind of combine them. And so normally what I do is actually in between each of these, I'm having you guys do the skills, and I go way more in depth in the training on having you guys do the role plays and kind of get an idea of the skills. But I've tried it different ways in virtual, and there's just not really great format for it. But what I am happy to do is, since this is the kind of more difficult topic areas when it comes to facilitating this curriculum, set up some like one-on-one time sessions that either we can run through some of the lessons that have the skill development we can do the role plays if that's what's comfortable, whatever feels, whatever you feel may be helpful for you guys. And it can be like, even if there's like several, people within like Bay Haven, for example, you guys had 3 people participating. If we wanted to do a session of all 4 of us, I guess it would be, you guys just almost saw my really bad pregnancy brain math when I said, was going to say 3, but we can get together, and I'm happy to do kind of that one-on-one coaching about using these skills and teaching these skills. So next slide, to kind of wrap it up for the last little bit, is talking about the fidelity. I spoke about it earlier when I was talking about the structure of the lessons, but the most important thing is teaching it in order and in its entirety, to really support the findings that they have had in the evaluation, and it being evidence-based, and the positive effects it can have on youth and the youth outcomes that come from it. It's really important that we stick to teaching the whole entire curriculum. We're not skipping through or hopping back and forth on doing the skills, because really what actually ends up happening is then the youth aren't receiving them in a building pattern. So it's structured that they're learning the skills bit by bit throughout before they go full in depth into understanding the whole entire skill of like those communication skills towards the end of the lesson. So it's just something that we want to make sure to highlight. I will say, as someone who has been trained in many different evidence-based practices and evidence-based trainings, when I train on them, we're human and things don't always work out and things have to be adapted. And so giving yourself grace, giving it grace, I think the easiest thing we can do to make sure it is taught with fidelity is just that idea that we want to teach in its entirety and from beginning to end. If something is missed here and there, that happens. So I'm one who always says give ourselves grace and be kind to ourselves. So now I just want to kind of open it up to questions, concerns, anything that you guys may have over today or yesterday. And let me know if there's anything I can do to help you guys as well. No questions today? Quiet group? That's okay.
Everyone's going to will receive a copy of the presentation and the website that you provided, the youth relationship website, and other important healthy relationship curriculum. So thank you, Lindsay. Are there any other? Oh. We have a couple of folks who are writing something in the chat box. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to Lindsay for coming. Please continue to talk about mental health with our children and our youth all year round. It's so important that you do this all year round, and continue to utilize what Lindsay has taught us, the 4-corner, the assertive, delay, and some of the other video clips that we saw, and incorporate some of those activities, stand the line as well, and just help continue to reduce that societal stigma that has plagued mental health illnesses for so long. And we can help, all of you can help break that cycle and keep our Alaska Native youth safe and away from the juvenile justice system. That's the best thing we can do. And I just want to say thank you for coming here. So at this time, for attendance purposes, please use the chat box. And if you're viewing by yourself, you know, there's no need to type anything in the chat box. But if there are other folks in the room with you, go ahead and jot it down in the chat toolbox, and include the number of people who are with you. And please also help us to improve our future webinar experiences by taking a short question survey. So we have provided a link. We'll go ahead and copy that and paste it to the chat box, and also send you the link as well in the email. And thank you. And so you can reach.
Clarify real quick, Laura.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You're asking those who are in attendance to drop their name, and if they have others with them, online with them, to drop those names in the chat box for attendance purposes.
Yes.
And is that for certificates of completion or?
I to be honest, I'm not aware of that, but I believe Lindsay can provide that through the state of Alaska Healthy Relationships.
Yeah, so if everyone can provide my name, or if you have a list of people who were registered, what I'll do is I will create the certificates, the Healthy Relationships Plus participation certificates, and I can either email them to Laura and she can email them out to everyone if you have their emails, or send me an email and I will email it to you directly.
So we're going to go ahead and provide Lindsay's information. So you can reach Lindsay Hammer by either email or by phone. And we encourage everyone to stay safe and please have a healthy holiday break. So that concludes our Healthy Relationships virtual workshop. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, this is Bay Haven.
Yeah.
It was just myself today. My coworkers were in another training, so just Deanna today.
Not just Deanna, but we had the joy of having you join us. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you, ladies.
Our pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, hello?